I don't think that he did. That's my opinion. Okay, it's a Class C ordinance, and when they say illegal, that's a strong word for what this is. It's the same if you play your music too loud. That's a Class C ordinance. Okay. Again, there is legislation in the Texas legislature right now that's trying to make it a crime to have a cat, a real crime, not a Class C ordinance. Whether it'll pass or not, I don't know. I think there's some good reasons why maybe that's a good law, okay? And maybe it should be passed, but at least as of today, illegality is an awful strong word for just an ordinance violation.
Has his family indicated whether or not they'll post bond for him a fifth time and get him out?
Well,
you understand the public sometimes frustrated by that fact?
Well, I understand that the public may in many instances feel frustrated, but at the same time, it's easy to be frustrated when it's someone else. But if it's your family, it's your loved one, your daughter, your son, your cousin, your friend, you'd want to say, well, hell, hold on a minute. They haven't been convicted of anything. And, our whole country is founded upon people are presumed to be innocent, not guilty. And we don't have debtors' prisons, and we don't have people just sitting in jail for years and years and years. At least that's not what we're supposed to be doing, while we decide whether they committed a crime or not. And Victor, from the very beginning, has always maintained, I'm innocent of these charges. Now, I know there is a family out there that they lost somebody. I'm not unsympathetic to that. But at the same time, the allegation is that Victor intentionally killed this person. And that's what his contention from the beginning is. This does not happen. That this was an instance of self-defense in which I was attacked and defended myself. So, at the end of the day, the jury will speak to that. And when that happens, then we'll live with that verdict just the same as we live with the judge's verdict today. But we're not there. We're not there today.
Michael, how did the cat get back to its owner? Police believe that it changed hands at least a dozen times within the last 4 days.
Well, common sense might suggest that could be true, but at the same time, this is a very affectionate cat. And if you were to liken it to your own pet, your own dog, and if you really love that dog, even though the dog could bring you unwanted attention.
I'm talking about the transport. Did Victor take it to the owner?
Yes, that's exactly what I think happened here. And so the last time the tiger was seen is with the owner. And that's the information I've given you already. Okay.
Who's the owner?
Well, that's the $100,000 question. I think the owner is hiding under a rock right now because worldwide attention is looking for him in India.
Does Victor have the owner's name?
Yes. Well, we know the first name, and I've released it. If you don't have it, send me the email, and I'll give you the information that I have on it. Because
how does Victor explain having this ongoing relationship with this tiger, and then all of a sudden he doesn't know where the owner is, he doesn't know where the tiger is?
Well, because the difference was before, whenever the owner, I don't know what engagements he had or what issues he had, but he'd bring the cat for Victor to caretake for a few days, and that would happen, and then the owner would come back and get him, and it was without incident. But on this particular occasion, of course, something changed. And the change was all of a sudden we got literally worldwide attention on this cat looking for India, looking for Victor, looking for, the owner. And so the owner doesn't want this attention. I'm guessing that's why he's went underground. The owner doesn't want the attention, so he's hiding. He's hiding with the cat. Now, could he have harmed the cat? Yes, he could have.
So this strong bond that was created with Victor, how was it created if it was only once every now and then that he took care of the tiger?
Well, I think the once now and then was fairly often. I mean, the cat's about 9 months old. And I think, as I understand the facts, that the cat would come visit a couple times a month. And from an early age, the cat would come over, and Victor bonded with it and liked the cat and got along with the cat. And I think the thing was mutual. I mean, from what I understand, Victor would speak to this cat in Spanish and say besos, which of course in Spanish is kiss, and the tiger would very easily jump on his shoulder and give him a kiss. He would tell the tiger to sit down or lay down, and the tiger, just like a dog, would lay down or sit down. That's the type of not only intelligence but also the sweetness and gentleness of this beautiful beast.
How did he first get involved with the cat? Like how did he get involved like that? Oh, I'm going to go take care of this cat. How did it all begin?
That's a great question. Okay, because how do you go from zero to dealings with?
People would think having a cat in your house is an unusual thing. So how did he sell it?
That's a fantastic question. And from my understanding, what happened was the first interaction between Victor and the owner of this big cat was he bought a dog. Now, when I say dog, I'm going to use Chihuahua. Okay, I don't think it was a Chihuahua. I don't remember what kind of dog it was, but a normal dog like any of us might have at our house. And that's where he met this guy, because he also sells normal, domesticated dogs, regular dogs like we all have. And somewhere along the line of that, he learned that he had these other animals, and the offer was made, hey, I got some other nice animals you love. It's obviously that you love pets. You should come see what else I have. And that's sort of the kind of relationship that kind of got started. And, from there, Victor, for good or for bad, sort of fell in love with this cat, and the rest is sort of unraveled from there.
So is the owner an animal dealer?
Well, I'm not entirely for sure on that, okay? I don't know if the owner is a middleman or if the owner is an actual dealer, but at least the facts that I have been led to believe is that this owner also cares for this animal, not just like something that would come into possession and be sold and gone, okay? I don't know enough about it yet. That's part of what I really want to try to figure out, is what is the level of involvement of this person who the owner person has the cat. Are they a dealer? Are they a middleman? Are they someone maybe that normally deals in these things maybe? And this particular one, maybe he just kept it, took a liking to it. I don't know, okay? But those are all great questions, and I want to find the answer, and we're going to dig real hard to try to get those answers.
Do you expect your client to be bonded out? If so, how soon?
Well, that's another question that I don't know the answer to at this moment in time. My conversation with the family is much like it would be, and I'll just disclose this because it's not a secret, but if I'm talking to my daughters, I got two beautiful daughters, I would tell them, before you make any serious decisions, sleep on it, okay? And I gave that same advice to the family, same as I would any other family in this scenario. The bond amount on a $300,000 bond is substantial, okay? And so I gave them, before you start, trying to mortgage everything you got, so to speak, because that's what we do for our loved ones. You do whatever you can do to try to help them. And true love is a love that you give for somebody even when they haven't acted perfectly. If it's a child or a sibling, sometimes you still do things to try to help them that other people may say, no, I'm not sure I'd make the same decision, but it's hard to criticize that until you're in that position. So to answer your question, I don't know yet, and I've told the family, sleep on it, think about it a little bit, and we'll regroup early next week and talk about it. And so there may be a bond, there may not. And again, of course, there's a big question on resources. Can they come up with these resources? That's a lot of money, okay? Even with a bonding company, it's still a lot of money, okay?
You're expecting to spend a couple nights, though, in jail, though? You said
Well,
next week.
Again, I suppose anything could happen, but my belief is that nothing will happen as far as a bond or even a decision, okay, about a bond until probably early next week. Again, that's just a common thing that I would tell and have told this family, and would tell any family in this situation. I've been doing this kind of a long time, and I'd say, look, this is serious decisions that have serious implications on everyone in the family, not just one person. Sleep on it, think about it, talk about it, and let's regroup in a few days after everything is sunk in, where we're at, and then we can, make some educated decisions.
We didn't get to hear from Victor at all. Has he voiced remorse? Has he voiced regret? Has he voiced concern for letting this tiger loose in a community?
Well, first off, it's a misconception. I don't know where it came from that he let the tiger loose. That's not at all what
The
happened.
tiger was at his house. He got loose in the neighborhood where families live.
Okay, that is the bare facts, but there's more to the story, and I can only go by I've got conversations with Victor as well, but also the police officers at the scene on the video that I have seen says it looks like the cat scaled a fence and got loose. So it wasn't anything intentional. Nobody left the door open. The cat actually scaled a fence that he shouldn't have had access to, and I don't even know exactly how it happened. I think it was just an accident, okay, that he got access to a place where he could actually get out. Normally that would not have been possible, but it did, and so it happened. It did.
Has he voiced regret or remorse?
Well, of course. No one is.
What has he told you?
Well, I'm not going to know exactly what he told me, but, Victor loves this cat. And he also loves kids and people and doesn't want to scare or endanger anybody with anything. And so, sometimes accidents just happen. And it's just life. Life comes at us fast sometimes. And that's sort of what, happened in this instance. It wasn't meant. Nobody meant for it to happen. Nobody, it ain't like they just walked off and left the door open and, left
Would you accept this answer? You say you have two beautiful daughters. If
I
a
do.
tiger was loose in your neighborhood, your daughters are outside, and you accept the answer, it was just an accident.
Well, I mean, I would be concerned like anyone would, and I'd want to know more about what is this tiger, how is he, and even if I learned that the tiger was, very gentle and whatever, I'd still say that's great, but I'd rather that not be, around my children. I'm with you on that, okay? I'm not degrading or in any way diffusing the thought process that it's not a great idea to have tigers, walk around in a neighborhood, because even if they're not up to anything bad, people are still going to perceive it as bad. And even the perception of bad could be dangerous, okay? But at the end of the day, this still was an accidental release. And, we don't throw rocks in glass houses. Now, all of us don't have tigers either in our glass houses. But we all do still make mistakes. I'm human, Victor's human, and at the end of the day, this was a mistake. And as soon as he learned about it, he retrieved the tiger, and, he made some good decisions, and he made some not so good decisions. But he's doing everything he can do to try to rectify it, try to get the tiger, and get the tiger to a preserve where it should be. And so hopefully it can live out the rest of his life not only happy and safe, but also safe for everybody else as well.
You mentioned that.
Your take about him arriving today in a Bentley, about his judgment, assuming not.
Well, the thing is, today's ride to the courthouse started out in some sort of a pickup truck, and because he got a ride from somebody, and started out in a pickup truck, and on the way here the pickup truck overheated, and so he had to call somebody else to come get him, and the person he knew to call was the person that had this Bentley, okay, and so they were able to come pick him up and bring him and his wife to the courthouse. I get the optics of it, doesn't look great, but it's one of those things when if you were just to see that in a vacuum, you'd say, goodness gracious, this kid's driving a Bentley. But it turns out it's a neighbor, somebody he knows that he happened to get a ride from. So, yes, the optics are not great on it, but factually, he got a ride from a neighbor or a friend. So.
Actually, does the family or his friend have the means to post a bond of $300,000?
Well, that's a good question. Many of these questions, y'all are asking great questions. You just are, okay? I don't know the answer to that either. That's a lot of money, okay? Because 10% of 300 is 30, okay? However you slice it. Now, can 10 relatives put up $3,000 apiece? Maybe they can. I don't know. I've been doing this a long time, and I do see things like this happen. Where 10, 15, 20 people put money in, and things happen. Okay, so can they make it? I don't know. That's one of the things I asked them to look over the weekend and think about. You think you can pool monies? You think you can come up with it? And if they can, then we'll talk about it next week and decide if that's what the route they're going to go or not.
You mentioned that you and Mr. Cuevas is concerned. You just want to find the tiger, make sure it's safe. Police earlier today said that you and Mr. Cuevas have not been cooperative at all, trying to give information. Do you plan to cooperate with police? Give them information, whatever information you have about what you know about the owner, to help them in the investigation?
Well, when you use the word police, the police that you're using is the Houston Police Department. And they double-crossed me and they lied. Okay, so they're not trustworthy. And you see what kind of a job they did on this particular case. They came out, saw Victor and the tiger and said, job done, we're going home. Okay. What they don't know and what they don't want to tell you is I have been working with the Fish and Wildlife people, the federal Fish and Wildlife people, who, unlike the Houston Police Department, are fantastic. Okay, they care, they've got resources, and they are running every trap they know how to do. We're running every trap that we know how to do, and we are working very hard to get this tiger, not just me and Victor and now Annie and Victor's family, but the federal authorities are helping us too. It's just the Houston Police Department. Like I said, I tried from the day one that we went to surrender to sit down with them, to do sketch artists, to try to figure out, give them all the information we had, to be involved in any kind of operations that might have, garnered some fruit on the location of the owner. And all they wanted to do was just go behind my back, even though we had an agreement, go arrest him and put him in jail quickly in a county that would result in him being in jail for an extra week or 10 days. And, that's not working with somebody. That's trickery and games. And that's what Houston Police Department is about, trickery and games. The feds are different, and we are working actively with them, and we'll continue to do so.
Have you provided the feds the information that your client, from what you say, has about the location where they gave the cat to the owner? Has that information been given to the federal officials?
Well, I'm working with the feds every day, including even today. Okay, I've been text messages even today with the authorities, and like I said, they're good people. They care and they mean well, and we are all actively working on this, and we'll do everything we can do to help them, including giving every piece of information, every piece of knowledge that we have.
What federal agency is it?
The Federal Fish and Wildlife people. I should know the right acronym, but I don't.
Fish and Wildlife.
It's the federal version of Game Wardens Plus, I'll call it, okay? But they're good people, and we've got an agent over there that's working very hard, and he really cares, and I can't say enough good about him.
Did Victor's wife give a different characterization of their relationship to police on Sunday?
You know, I was in the same courtroom that you were in listening to that. I don't know what all that was about. You know, I know that, you know, I heard that she said she had a panic attack and she asked to go to the hospital, and so I don't know. Maybe, you know, I just don't know, okay? I haven't even been privy to the offense report yet. It's interesting that they gave me the videos at a little after 5 last night, but they didn't give me the offense reports or anything else, and yet they're all sitting at the table reading them today. Why didn't they give them to me? I don't know what they're trying to hide with it. They gave me the videos, and when I really started scrutinizing them, look at that, we found, you know, 12 seconds, critical time, taken out of the video to make it look like the cops were right on his tail. That's heinous. It's terrible. And gosh, that's really bad. So, I mean, I'll look into that kind of thing. It is, I guess, somewhat concerning, but at the same time, it wasn't the crux of what was going on out there. It wasn't crux of the investigation. It wasn't material like that cop cutting out the time and coming into court and hiding it and sitting back and saying nothing. That's terrible. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed for the profession for what that police officer did. It's heinous.
The photographs that you sent letters that you received, were those introduced as evidence? I apologize.
You know, the reason why they're marked and they say defense exhibits 1 through whatever, that was the plan. But judge basically just said, I don't want to go into any of this. I don't want to get into the cat relationship or any of that stuff. And so, no, they were not introduced into evidence. Okay, but they're ours. They're accurate. And to answer your question, yes, those are all India. Okay, and so this is part of, regardless of what happens in the court, Victor, separate and apart from that, very much wants to find this cat and to help. And so, you know, I don't release these things on my own, okay? This is a client matter, and if Victor had said, I don't want you releasing it, of course I would have not released it. So I had blessings to release this, and again, it's all in an effort to help find India. We want India found, and we want India safe.
So just so that I'm clear, so you requested to enter those into evidence, but the judge said no?
Well, I never got quite to that stage. When I started talking about those are going to come in through the wife and the treatment and explain the photographs and everything else. The judge basically said, I don't want to get into that. And so I'm not going to let you go into talking about the cat, okay? You know, judges make decisions and we live by the rules, okay? We live by their rulings, all right? But they're fair game for y'all. They're fair game for the search for India. And I hope maybe that when somebody sees this, they might go, I think that's the same cat that I know who has that cat, okay? So there you go.
Do you think the owner gave the cat up to somebody else? That's why it's transferred so many hands? Because Victor dropped off the cat with the owner Sunday night. That's what you said at the beginning.
Yes. Okay. So is that possible? Yes, it is possible. But I go back to the reason why, at least, and maybe I'm just being optimistically hopeful on this cat was loved like a dog, not just by Victor, but my understanding is that the other person loved this cat too. Okay. So, you know, I'm in my mind rationalizing if for some reason my dog became a very hot commodity that wouldn't be great for me to be seen with, I couldn't kill my own dog, okay? I couldn't do something ugly to my own dog. That's just me, okay? And this is, I know it's sort of different, but I know for sure from what I've seen and learned, Victor's love for this cat, good, bad, or indifferent, is real and it's sincere. I mean, I can see it. And I don't have any reason to believe that this other cat's owner, because this cat apparently is just that affectionate and sweet, hopefully has the same love for this cat and didn't do something bad to it. Could it have done something bad? Of course. I hope not, okay? And so, but we just don't know at this time.
Can you address the allegations that Mr. Cuevas is involved in an exotic animal crime ring?
I think that's absolutely false. I think there's zero evidence to support that. I think somebody that, you know, upstream that may be true, okay? But I haven't seen anything to suggest from any source, including Victor, that this was nothing more than just, you know, what started out as buying a dog to, you know, basically falling in love with a cat that seemed cuddly and small and fun at the time. Of course, they grow, okay, but that's how it came, and he became the person that was a caretaker and would babysit and whatever, because not only was it sort of fun, but he loved the cat too. Okay, so no, I don't think there's anything to suggest, nor has any law enforcement, HPD, the feds, or anyone else even suggested that Victor may be connected to anything larger, and that is patently untrue of anything I've seen.
As far as what he said for what he did for a living, I don't know if his wife testified that he did Airbnb, he worked as a barber, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And she mentioned something else. I didn't hear what the first thing she said, I don't know. You heard? I thought I heard fighter, but I might have misheard.
No, she did. It's a fighter. Victor is a MMA fighter. Okay, much like a boxer, and I understand he's quite good at this. Okay, he fights for money. Okay, when he fights, and apparently is I haven't went to watch him fight, but my understanding is he's like professional grade MMA fighter. So again, I'm not really interested in that sort of thing, but it is fascinating to me somewhat. But that's I know he does that, okay, and I'm not saying a bad way behind the bushes or behind whatever, but in a ring, just like a boxing match would be sanctioned, so to speak. There are people that do that, okay, and they do it professionally. It's nothing illegal about it. It's all legal, and people love it,
The spelling for his wife's name, if you have that.
I would butcher it if I did. I don't know. I'm terrible at spelling. I'm not trying to hide it from you. I just I don't have it, and I listened to it spelled in the courtroom myself, and I was sitting there thinking, I don't think that's how I'd spell it, but it may have been right or may have been wrong. I don't know.
Did Victor give Fish and Wildlife the location of where he originally bought the dog, where he first was introduced to the tiger?
Victor did not, because Victor hasn't spoken directly with him. Everything has been through me, okay? And I've had a lot of conversations with him, and quite frankly, I'm not sure, okay?
Wouldn't that be the first thing you do if you're so concerned about the location of the tiger?
What we've been anxious to, the location, I mean, if it's at the intersection of Briarwood and, Westheimer or something, just making up streets, okay? We know the tiger's not going to be there anymore, okay? That the tiger is now somewhere else. That's just where they met, okay? So that doesn't really do anything as far as helping to find the tiger.
So he purchased the dog like on the side of the street?
I don't think met it in the parking lot of Wendy's. I'm making something up, okay? Something like that, okay? Purchased the dog, got to know the guy a little bit, and apparently learned, hey, I've got some other nice things that you might want to buy as well, and maybe intrigued him, and that's how this started, So there you go. I mean,
they would just meet up.
Yes. Okay, that's my understanding. That's exactly right. They'd meet up. Now, at the house that that we all heard about, I understand that the guy brought the tiger, at least on this occasion, brought him to the house, okay, and dropped him off and left and said, I'll be back on Monday. I mean, I'm making up days, okay, or whatever it was, but I'll be back in a few days and come pick him up, and I got something to do or whatever. And that's how the tiger was there. And typically, a few days later, the guy would come pick him up, and there you go.
How long had India been with Victor by the time he was in the neighborhood on Sunday night?
I think that was the first day. I think I heard testimony today that she, well, I don't know. I think 1 or 2 days, I think, is the answer to that. I'm not positive, because the girl got there at 6 o'clock. This all happened 8 o'clock-ish, and I think the tiger had been there a day or two. I think is kind of how that was, okay? I'm not 100% sure on that, but it wasn't a long period of time for sure. It was a short period of time, and so there you go. I know I haven't talked y'all all out of questions.
How did he first meet the owner? Through like an app, through online? How did he first find out he was selling dogs?
I think it was online, but I'm not positive. For whatever kind of dog he's, again, I'm using the word Chihuahua. You look up, I want to buy a Chihuahua, and somebody's, I got some Chihuahuas and pretty pictures or something. Okay, I'll go meet you, kind of thing. Again, it's not a Chihuahua, and I just don't remember what it was. It wasn't a pit bull or something either, but it's just a normal dog.
You don't know how they first were introduced?
No, that's something I should know, but I don't know the answer to that. Okay, but it's a good question. I just don't know exactly the answer.
And the reason we don't know where the tiger is because he's lost communication with that owner, correct?
There has been some communication. Okay, I don't want to go into the extent of it, but there has been some communication. Again, I'm not the only one who have been working on this, and there has been some communication, and it hasn't necessarily been nice. Okay, because this attempted location potentially brings spotlight on someone else, and I'm not going to go into the details of it because I think that's more of a law enforcement issue. but let's just say that some of it has not been nice. But yes, we're touching some nerves. Okay, well, I'll leave it at that, and maybe you can kind of fill in the blanks. But this search is touching some nerves that would rather not be touched.
And what happens with that initial bond, just for my information?
Well, the initial bond, I mean, to some degree, it's a paper transaction. Okay, so what happens when you make a bond? In this instance, the bond is set at $125,000. Okay, the bond was made through a bonding company. The bonding company is in essence saying, if Victor does not show up to court, we will be liable for the full $125,000 to the county, because theoretically the county's been injured because now he's gone. Okay, it's to ensure his appearance, to give some financial incentive to make sure he comes to court. Okay, in this instance, he never, skipped out on court. He was here even today when, he knew that things might not go as planned. He's still here saying, I'm here to answer to whatever, I'm liable for. And so the county hasn't lost any money. The bondsman hasn't lost any money. He's here. He didn't run anywhere. So it's a paper transaction. Now, the paper transaction still came at a cost because the bonding company was still paid and they were still on the hook in case he ran. Of course, he didn't. So there's really not a loss to anyone financially except for Victor's family or Victor for making that first bond that now is finished. But
So who posted his bond for the murder charge?
I don't know the answer of who actually paid. I don't know if it was Victor's money, if it was pooled money. I don't know. I just don't know. Okay.
Well, the tiger, India, is it a he or she?
It's a he, actually. It sounds like a female name to me, but it's a male.
So was he born here in Houston?
I don't know the answer to that either. I'd like to know the answer to that myself, just out of curiosity.
Or domestically in the U.S.?
I think so. Okay, but that's just a feeling I get from the relationships and the age at which I know this tiger first came into Victor's life. He was fairly young. Okay, so that would sort of be suggestive to me that the tiger was probably homegrown domestically and not brought in from India or something. Okay, but I don't really know that for sure. And that's really a question for this owner, really, because the tiger was already of some age when Victor was introduced. It wasn't, brand spanking new kitten.
I thought it was like brand new.
Well,
a cub or...
a cub is a relative thing. Even a kitten you wouldn't take away from mama until it's 6 or 8 weeks old. I'm assuming it's a similar type scenario with a tiger. There is a mama that bore this young cub, and so I'm guessing that even, bred commercially, so to speak, for lack of a better term, they still stay with mama for some period of time. So I'm assuming that the earliest would have been, a couple of months old probably. And so, but that's a guess. Okay, I think it's an educated guess, not just a guess, but I think it's an educated guess that does kind of make common sense. But I don't know. I mean, for all we know, the owner may have went to India and got this tiger. I don't know the answer to that. Okay, and Victor wouldn't know that either, I wouldn't think. Okay, so, because he wasn't the one that brought it. He wasn't the only one that brought it. So I'm not sure he would necessarily know. And the owner might lie too. Even if he told him, he might have asked him, where'd this tiger come from? Whatever they say doesn't mean it's the truth. They probably don't want to say, hey, we broke federal laws and smuggled him in from India, when they could say I was born down the street. I don't know. We're guessing, but it's a fascinating question, and it is interesting.
On Tuesday, you shared a text message that was from the cat's owner, correct?
Yes.
To your client, and is that what you're referencing when you say it hasn't been nice communication? I mean, one of them a death threat, right?
Yeah, there's been more developments than that.
And why would you think he would say that? Because the tiger got out and now there's this publicity?
Yes, and the potential is to now expose the owner and cause the owner problems, which at the same time may also endanger the ring, as you bring up, because I mean, I don't think these things happen in a vacuum, and I don't think that just people just naturally on their own have tigers born in their backyard. Okay, so somebody's selling these things out there, and somebody's peddling them, and somebody's making huge amounts of money on tigers and lions and elephants and whatever, all kind of things, monkeys and all kind of animals. Okay, so when you start bringing law enforcement, media, press, that's not taken well by people that would rather stay underground and hidden. And so there's been more developments, and we're stepping on some toes, which tells me we're getting, we're making some progress.
Will you share any of those
I'm working with law enforcement on that, and so at right now, as much as I know, I'd like to share them, but I'm working with law enforcement on them. Right now is probably not the right time to to be kind of going into other leads, and there's more than one. Okay, there's more than one. So there's different sources coming in with basically keep your mouth shut kind of things. Okay, and so
doesn't that suggest that your client had some knowledge that would be incriminating to these people?
no, it suggests that the trail goes up, and when we're starting to follow the trail up, people are getting concerned. That's how I would take that. Okay, I don't think that means that Victor necessarily has any involvement. Knowledge of the people that he has dealt with, the middleman for sure. I'll call him a middleman, call him the owner, call him whatever you want to call him. Yes, I think that in itself is concerning. And just the fact that we get worldwide attention to this now is concerning. That money starts flowing, things starts happening, consensus starts getting raised. And if you have a cat in Texas, let's say somebody has 50 cats in Texas that they're breeding, all of a sudden, now guess what happens in legislation in Austin? Legislation that might have been dead before, I'm guessing now is going to be revived on. This is very important legislation. It might make it where it becomes law, but without the publicity of this case, it might not have. So, yeah, this is making everybody nervous on all kind of fronts, on those who would like to, deal or possess or have anything to do with exotic animals.
So are you alleging that the owner of India is the middleman in an exotic animal trading ring?
I'm alleging that there is an owner that's not Victor, and these things typically have larger organizations. I mean, you can't go down to PetSmart and buy a tiger, and so they have to come from somewhere, that someone's got some connections and associations that come from somewhere, and we know it's not Victor, and so typically these things flow uphill. And so, yes, I think there is a larger organization. I don't have any doubt about it. There is a larger organization, and somebody's dealing in these things. And somebody's got a lot of exotic animals, and I'd like to see them all put in preserves and taken care of.
Is there concern for your client's safety from any of these?
Well, not only my clients, there's probably some concern for mine too, okay? I'm a big boy, and that's a little bit of the territory. But he's, irrespective of that, he still wants to do the right thing. He wants to try to find this cat that he loves and get it to a good, nice, safe place.
The email that we should get the video from, can you share that?
Sure, Mike at elliottslaw.com, and that's MIKE, and Elliott's Law is ELLIOTTSLAW.com. I'm sorry, Mike at Elliott's Law.
What are you saying in that video?
You're going to see a video of Victor playing with the cat when it was already pretty large. Okay, playing it with like you play with a little cat, but a kind of a bigger version. The cat grabs it and he's pulling the cat around in circles and dragging the cat around, and the cat's chasing him and he's chasing the cat, and much like you'd play with your normal house cat. Okay, so this is just kind of a giant version of it. I'm sorry?
When are you sending?
I'll send it this afternoon. Anybody that sends me the deal, I'll get it out this afternoon. Okay. So anyway, it's if you look at it, you just go, God, this is just kind of it's incredible. Again, it doesn't mean it's a good idea. I keep saying it because to me, it's still not a good idea to have a cat, a big one. I don't necessarily like the little ones, but I prefer dogs. That's just me. But nonetheless, he loves the cat, and we still want to make good for the cat.
Do you think you'll find the cat? Do you think anyone will find the cat?
If this cat, in my opinion, was not loved like I think that it is, I would say it's too late, it's gone. But because of what I know about the love that Victor has for it and the sweetness of this animal, I think that the owner probably has an affection with him too. And so that's what's given me hope that the cat's still okay.
Do you think it's in Houston or Harris County like Houston police think it is?
I don't know what Houston police think, but I think that seems reasonable to me. Somewhere within 100 miles of Houston, I think it would make sense. An outlying area like a Wharton or maybe Austin County or something like that, where it's fairly wooded, sort of secluded, where you can have a barn of decent size that, maybe a lot of trees, something like that, would make sense to me. If I had a tiger I was trying to, take care of and kind of keep secluded, that's where I'd be, so those kind of things. And I'm just making up the example of Wharton and Sealy. It's not because that's where I think they're at. I'm just making that up because that's, the areas that fit those descriptors. So anyway, have I finally talked everybody out now? That's hard to do, is talk a lawyer, down till we can't say anything else. But I think, yeah.
If your client bonds out, do you anticipate letting us know?
I'm not opposed to telling you. Okay, it's not a secret. So if he bonds out, I'll sure do that. I've given everyone my cell number, my office number, my email, and I've tried to answer all your questions within the restraints. There's some things I can't talk about, but within the constraints, I've tried to talk to everyone. I've tried to return everyone's phone call. I've tried to be available for anybody who wants to talk to me. I've tried to be available, and I will continue to do so. So.
You don't expect him to bond out tonight?
No. There's, again, I hate to, lawyers never like to say never or always, but no, I don't think that anything is going to happen. And I'm telling you, I told the family specifically the same as I tell my kids: sleep on this, absorb it. It's a serious decision. Just let it set in a few days, and let's talk early next week. Okay, so.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think there's any need for you to go sit and camp out over at the jail. Okay, and I promise you, I might not tell you, but I wouldn't mislead you and say, oh, no, next week when I knew it was going to be today. I wouldn't do that, okay? That's sort of an HPD type of trick, and I wouldn't do that, okay? So, no, I don't think anything's going to happen next week until next week at the earliest, and then I don't even know then. That's still a lot of money. Okay.
I was going to ask, what's their reaction to having to bond him out again? Do you know?
Well, I mean, it's like any tragedy that a family can go through. I mean, everyone deals with tragedy differently, and just like the victim's family in this, I'm sure they have tragedy too. They didn't ask for this, and they lost a loved one. It means something. This is a tragedy on this side as well, and the family is suffering through this tragedy as well. So it's not anything good that anybody's family would like to have as a loved one charged with the crime, and we've got to sort through it. Is he guilty or not? The jury will ultimately tell us. But like I said, Victor has always maintained his innocence, so time will tell. It's not a perfect system, but it is, in my opinion, without question, the best system in the world. I mean, we have a fantastic system of justice. Yes, it's not perfect, but we could be in a Middle Eastern country where you're guilty until proven innocent, and you steal something, or they think you did, and they chopping your fingers and your hands off, and asking questions later, and now you walk around with a nub. And what if you didn't do it, So, we see people getting out of prison every day that's been there 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That DNA has exonerated them, and no one likes to think it happens, and no one wants to talk about it. But it happens. It's real, and it does happen. And yes, we want justice, but at the same time, what's worse than someone getting murdered? Someone going to prison for murder they didn't commit. So, there we go. Well, I don't know that anybody necessarily needs a credit. I passed them out, and with permission of my client. So, and it's for the purpose of, yes, and it's for the purpose of trying to assist in finding India. So, at least we had a beautiful day to come out here and chat about this, and the weather's nice, and it's not 400 degrees. So, and I'm sure it made it last twice as long as it's supposed to. But as I promised, I've been here trying to answer all your questions the best I can for as long as y'all want to talk. So,
Thank you.
all right, all right, all right. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good day.